What a day, guys! Awesome news today. Russians surrendered in Robotyne. At least 2 Ukrainian flags were spotted in Krynky, and the biggest Russian landing ship, Caesar Kunikov, became a submarine. Russians do not have that many ships left. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So today, I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna say for ridiculous Russian propaganda. This is a pure improvisation. Well, there you have it. Rated from 1 to 10. Okay, today we have one of Russian, let's call it Amazon's internet store, where you can buy whatever you want, and one guy was just simply browsing to buy himself a windproof jacket. He was going through the pictures and wait a second, does this guy look familiar to you? Let me know in the comments, because for me it most certainly does. And I mean, is it yet another confirmation that Prigozhin might have survived? And he is right now somewhere just leading his normal farmer's life or whatever he wants to do, buying stuff on Amazon and just pretending like nothing happened. This is very curious and very interesting, and I'm only wondering, maybe this is another guy who had Prigozhin as an idol, and he just looks exactly the same. I do not know exactly, but the coincidence is very uncanny. And guys, I wish the entire episode will be this positive, but unfortunately there are bad news as well. And whenever there is an option between hearing bad or good news first, the majority of people select the bad one. So let's talk about some not so good news first. Specifically, I'm referring to a situation in the east, in Avdiivka. And then we're gonna talk about some incredible things that happened in the south. And first of all, we have to make a stop in Kharkov, where a local residential area has been attacked by Russian S-300 metallic cylinders, and unfortunately there are casualties among civilians. Then there was another reported attack by Russians in Selidovo, located in Donetsk region, and as a result of this new attack, more civilian buildings were destroyed and reportedly a hospital has been severely damaged. Then we have another statement by the newly appointed chief of Ukrainian forces, Alexander Syrsky, who is saying that Russians also intensify their offensive in Kupiansk front line. That is why Ukrainians will need to mobilize the reserves to protect this city. But luckily, Ukrainians as it is are still able to eliminate the military vehicles and equipment of Russians, such as reportedly across the eastern front line they were able to destroy 2 self-propelled artillery systems of Russians called Msta-S. Speaking about Bakhmut front line, right now this is not the most intense combat zone, but pretty much daily combat activities are happening between Russians and Ukrainians, with Russians primarily attacking next to Ivanovska and Klishchiivka, located right here. And so far Ukrainians are successfully repelling these attacks, so there is no advancement by Russians, at least no significant ones. And another reason why neither of the sides are advancing that much right now, it is because the spring is coming and some regions in Ukraine are experiencing a little bit warmer than usual temperatures. That is why the ground turns into this big pile of mud, which is impossible for military vehicles and even for people to cross. But unfortunately, the most intense combat zone right now is in Avdiivka, and the situation is, let's be honest, critical. If you remember, a couple of days ago, Ukrainians sent their elite reinforcements, the 3rd Assault Brigade, and right here, for example, we already have one of the very first videos allegedly from those soldiers who show that they are already fighting and pushing Russians. Besides that, right here is the video of Ukrainian FPV drone using 2 warheads instead of 1, which allows them to more effectively destroy the Russian tanks with just 1 single attack. So right now Ukrainians use only 1 drone to destroy a Russian tank, which is obviously way more expensive. And without a doubt, whenever the warhead is twice bigger, it creates twice bigger ball of fire. So that is why pretty much there is no chances for Russian tanks, And if you want to see an uncensored version of the consequences, it will be on my Patreon, the link is down below. Next we have some more photos from the drone, which looks like they're either thermal drones or night vision drones, which confirm that Ukrainians were also able to destroy one military convoy of Russians, which was bringing supplies to Avdiivka. So as you can see, with the arrival of the 3rd Assault Brigade, Ukrainians, they started to at least show some revenge to the Russian occupiers. But unfortunately, there is not much city left to fight for, even though there are still civilians living. So as you can see from this video, pretty much entire city, every single building is destroyed to the ground. And inside Avdiivka itself, one of the biggest combat zones is the territory of the Avdiivka plant, which, as you can see from this picture, is destroyed fully as well. And at this very moment it is reported by Ukrainians fighting inside the city that Russians are getting closer to the so-called road of life every single day, but luckily Ukrainians still have control over at least one of them. And on this map in red is the highlighted this so-called road of life. But just overall, as mentioned previously, the situation is extremely complicated, it is pretty much critical. These are the words of, once again, Alexander Syrsky. Right here you can see the changes in the front line of Avdiivka. But Ukrainians are holding on, and it became a little bit easier for them with the arrival of the reinforcements. And guys, obviously I will keep an eye out for Avdiivka situation, and I'll continue making these daily updates, so if you want to stay in the loop, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video to show the support of my work. Right, and now let's get back finally to some good news. And first stop brings us to Crimea, to the Black Sea, where another Russian biggest landing ship, this time called Caesar, has been sunk by Ukrainian drones. In other words, the ship became a submarine. At first, Russians were, as always, saying that no, this was just training, some military exercises, there is nothing significant. Then they started saying that yes, Ukrainians kinda damaged the ship, but as soon as Ukrainian Defense Intelligence released this video showing the attacks of these Magura V5 drones, and then obviously without potentially even denying the facts, it's like the facts are right in your face, it's like there is no denying them. You will be able to see that ship indeed became a submarine. This video provided by Defense Intelligence of Ukraine is relatively long, the quality is pretty good, to be honest, and once again you will be able to see step-by-step process all the way from the beginning of this sea raid until the ship is no longer a ship. Let's call it like this. The full version, as always, is on my Patreon, it is also uncensored. You go ahead, please check, the link is down below, and there's 1 week of free access for every single one of you to try this service. Thank you so much. And so yes, obviously, as soon as Ukrainians released this video, Russians started to acknowledge that yes, unfortunately, the ship was sunk. And they even sent the Ka-27 helicopter to try and locate this ship on the surface of the water, which obviously they could not do. And you know what the very interesting thing about this helicopter? I'm not even kidding here, is that it is equipped with the very sensitive radar, which is used to find submarines, like not even ships, submarines. So Russians immediately went to this place, acknowledging that yes, the ship is sunk, it is on the bottom of the sea, so it's kinda Russians trolled themselves. Then there was a statement by Kirill Budanov who confirmed that yes, indeed, a total of at least 5 naval drones Magura V5 were used in this attack. And as of right now, here is the statistics of which vessels the Russian Black Sea Fleet still has left, which is not that many, and this is the second big landing ship of the Russian Navy which is now destroyed. But besides that, and this is a truly mind-blowing statistics, Russians only had so-called serviceable 13 ships not that long time ago, and as a result of Ukrainians turning them into submarines, they only have 5 left. And some of you, including me until not that long time ago, were kinda wondering what actually is a landing ship. Well, right here is the old video of this Cesar Kunikov from the past, which was showing the training of Russian Marines whenever they were pretty much using this ship for its purpose. and allegedly in the future during this Russian-Ukrainian war, it was supposed to be used to bring Russian marines to the ports in Odessa. Yeah, bro, like, yeah, I heard about... Shoigu did what? Shoigu did this? Oh, guys, sorry, I did not see you there, I was just... It doesn't matter. Long story short, this is also a part of the merch. Extremely cool and one of my favorite iPhone cases, which I'm using personally, the Russian Dude case. And since Saturday is coming soon, every single one of you will be able to buy it as well, exactly the same case as I'm using right now. But if you want to see some sneak peeks, if you want to have an early access to the sale of the merch, once again please follow me on Instagram and also on my Patreon, because my Instagram followers and Patreon members will be among the first ones to receive access to the Russian Dude merch, which is, once again, is absolutely incredible. I love it, I use it daily myself. The link to my Instagram and Patreon is as always down below. Right, now let's go back to the south, where there is even more good news. And first of all, speaking about Kherson front line, the situation is also relatively stable in favor of Ukrainians. They are able to successfully repel Russian assaults and attempts to bring them back to the other side of the Dnipro river. And reportedly, Ukrainians were even able to expand Krynky bridgehead additional 1 square kilometer. Then we have these videos, in fact 2 of them, where Ukrainians using their kinda relatively new darts drones, and they destroy Russian supply and logistics relatively far behind the front lines, 15 to 20 kilometers at some point. Then as we go to Zaporozhye front line, to the southwest of Robotyne, Ukrainians were able to destroy a relatively big pile of Russian military equipment, and pretty much all of it was gone. But wait, there is more. Because Ukrainians also were able to destroy an extremely well-equipped assault group of Russians also next to Robotyne. Reportedly, some of Russians also surrendered, even though this is not confirmed. And whenever they were searching through the equipment that those Russian soldiers had, they found backpacks full of munition, full of additional good stuff that Ukrainians can use themselves. And besides that, they found one of the Russian soldiers, which was eliminated, which fell asleep forever. And according to his military documents, he only arrived to Ukraine less than 10 days ago. Which kinda shows the potential new Russian soldiers who think that, okay, right now it's a kinda stalemate in Ukraine. They offer $2,000 per month salary, so I can go. Well, as you can see, less than 2 weeks ago, this guy had absolutely no idea what's about to happen, and 2 weeks, believe me, it's not that much. Next we go back to Kherson frontline, specifically to Krynky we spoke about previously, and Ukrainians reportedly once again made some confirmed gains to the south and southwest of this village. And at this very moment, I would say that this is one of the most intense combat zone in the entire south of Ukraine, because as you can see from this video, there is just so many potholes and craters from the artillery attacks both by Russians and Ukrainians that, just like any other city in Ukraine, the frontline ones, it is now fully destroyed to the ground. And also, speaking about Krynky, right here is the compilation of photos from one of ex-Twitter accounts, OSINT.UA, which shows just how many Russian military vehicles and equipment they lost in this small city. And besides just destroying Russian military equipment, Ukrainian Marines reportedly were also able to push Russians further away from this city recently. And as a result of this, approximately last week we received this video from Krynky, which according to this map is still technically under the control of Russians, but this video shows that there is already one, at least, Ukrainian flag inside the city. And just less than 1 week later, another video of one more flag installed on the local water tower in Krynky also appeared online. As you can see, these last 24 hours were intense in terms of combat activities both in the east and in the south. There are some bad, but there are also some good news coming from the front lines, and it can be summarized as that the Russians are primarily focusing in the east, while Ukrainians are trying to expand their success in the south. And eventually every stalemate ends in a major breakthrough. Right now also the spring is coming, so hopefully sooner rather than later the ground starts to dry, and so Ukrainians will be able to advance more effectively, as well as the support from the West is coming as well. And hopefully Ukrainians will take advantage, switch sides, gain the initiative and launch their another counteroffensive of 2024. I will be right here every single day to make these videos, these daily updates, so guys, if you don't want to miss them, once again, please subscribe to my channel. Literally takes one single small click. Also, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram for some merch updates and perks. Thank you so much, Patreons, for your support, and see you tomorrow.